You're listening to the Begin Within Health Show with Nate Slager. For more, go to beginwithin.fit/podcast, or to enroll right now in our flagship coaching program, go to beginwithin.fit/coaching. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here to join in with me in this episode today. This episode is the culmination of tons of work that one of our clients has done. We have had John, who I'm going to interview today on the show. We've had him working with us at Begin Within now for over a year. And to date, in his health journey, he's lost 148 pounds. He has made some major transformations, not just in weight loss, but you're going to hear he has made transformations in the person that he is and the quality of the life that he's living. And of course, I'm not going to take all the credit for that by any means, because he's the one that has done the work. He's the one that has selected the focuses for the work, the goals, the aspirations. Those are all his. The framework, the step-by-step method that he's taken in order to get to where he's at has been the result of coaching. It's been the result of support. It's been the result of a really nice framework within our program. And you're going to hear that reflected in the things that he says today. But more than anything, I want you to listen for three main points as we go through this interview today with John. Number one, and this is probably the simplest piece of the whole thing, and it's this: start simple. He's going to talk about that in our interview. He's going to talk about how to make it fun. He's going to discuss how movement is so much more than just traditional, working out like we talk about so often. He's going to talk about some things that he has done to make sure that he's choosing activities that fit into his life. And that's what our program's all about, is making fitness more than just about going to the gym and using exercise machines. We want it to fit into your life. If it doesn't, it's not going to work for very long. So he's going to explain how he has done that, specifically with exercise. So I want you to listen for that, because I think in the things that he expresses, you are going to have some light bulbs. If you're someone who's trying to fit fitness into your life right now, trying to fit exercise specifically into your life right now, you're going to hear some things that are definitely going to resonate with you. Number two, he talks a lot about non-scale victories. I shared with you already the amazing transformation that he has made, and we're very, very proud of that. Of course, we're celebrating him here with this episode, with this interview. But behind that, there's a lot of celebration of things outside of those specific results. So listen for that. Listen for those wins that he has been tracking, that he's been focused on throughout his journey. Because even if you have a long way to go, you've got a lot of challenges to overcome, that is going to be the key for you, as it is for all of us. And then number three, and this for me is this is the biggest thing that I take from him, because I think of all the clients I've worked with, even the trainers that I've worked with, the coaches that have been part of my network. John does something better than almost anybody that I've ever met. And it's getting support and staying educated. I think that education is part of the support that he has made sure is part of his journey when it comes to health and fitness. So much of his success comes from the things that he's learned along the way, not just about the specific challenges, the specific health conditions and even diseases that he's had to fight against. He's educated himself on those, but just when it comes to fitness itself, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to mindset matters, you're going to hear him talk about so many resources that he has made a part of his journey. He's going to talk about specific individuals that have helped him, both in his local gym, of course, Begin Within, podcasts like this one, support groups, so many things he has made a part of his journey. And I have to tell you, I know without a doubt it has contributed to his success. And that's just getting more people involved, learning from them, and then taking action on what he's learning, but also allowing those communities and those individuals that he's allowed to be part of his journey, he's let them hold him accountable along the way. And that's been a key element to his success. You're going to hear that. So listen for those themes. Here's my interview with one of our client success stories, John.
I'm taking a very holistic approach, mind, body, spirit approach on my health journey. And along the way, too, I've had some physical health challenges, too. I had acid reflux and a hiatal hernia and was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus. I was living a fast food diet, which doesn't exactly help when it comes to acid reflux. I learned that the hard way. I had major heartburn, coughed up stomach acid. Change of diet has helped out quite a bit with that. Then I was diagnosed with colon cancer, September 1st, 2000, or August 15th, 2017. I was having a hard time going to the bathroom. I went through 3 colonoscopy preps, hoping that would solve the problem. They ruled a lot of things out. They thought it was IBS at one point, but then they ordered a colonoscopy prep. Had the prep. They found a 22 centimeter stage 3 tumor in my colon. 2 weeks later, I had surgery. I had a colon resection. They found traces of cancer in one of the lymph nodes. Went through almost 30 days of radiation and 12 rounds of chemo. Went through treatment, got to ring a bell when I finished radiation, got to ring a bigger bell when I was diagnosed that I no longer had cancer May 30th, coming up on my 6-year anniversary of being in remission. And then after colon cancer, I put on a lot of weight. Didn't work out much. I was at 250 around then. And then during COVID, I definitely did not work out. I was on a Grubhub Uber Eats diet, put on a lot of weight, put on 100 pounds. I was up to 350. And during that time, I slipped on some ice at a parking lot and ended up with brain bleeding and brain swelling. I recovered from that. And around that time, I found out that I had sleep apnea. So I'm currently trying my best to wear a CPAP machine. That's one of my SMART goals, is to improve my sleep. And then I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes September 2020. That's when I found out what insulin resistance was. And I was wondering what I could eat, what I should be eating. I was at a Quick Trip looking at all the vegetables and all the stuff I used to eat, like the Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups, the caramellos, had maybe a few too many donuts, and was on a fast food diet. I met with a certified dietitian. She taught me how to cook. We made some vegetable lasagna, some chicken pot pie, portobello mushroom burger, some flounder in curry, and a lot of cooking, a lot of learning. She has also taught me quite a bit about some physical activity and also worked on some mental health stuff too. And around that time, I also found out I had kidney stone. So I've been through a couple of shockwave lithotripsies and a urology to have a kidney stone removed. And then recently there was scar tissue, and I recently had a bowel resection. So I lost 20 inches of my small intestines to dead bowels, dead small intestines. Then recently I went in for x-rays and I found out I had a mild to moderate disc degenerative disease. So I've had 2 very serious chronic conditions. I managed to reverse the type 2 diabetes thanks to a healthy eating approach, changing my diet, staying well hydrated, mindset too, Begin Within. I've been in that for a year now. I apply a lot of the daily habits to my life. Living a healthy lifestyle, I wasn't sure what that meant in the beginning. Since then, I've learned a lot about living a healthy lifestyle, learned a lot about food, nutrition. In fact, part of the program, I asked Jessica, part of the Begin Within program, about what I should be doing. And she mentioned that nutrition is like 80% of it. In fact, they recommend losing 1 pound or 2 pounds a week. That's the path that I was on. I was also working on lowering my A1C. My A1C was 9 when I first was diagnosed. Managed to get it down to 6.8. I met with a doctor who recommended Manjaro. It's a GLP-1 receptive agonist. That helped out a bit. but it's more than that too. They say it helps with their A1C with side benefit for weight loss. I really had to do a lot of strength training. I had to modify some of it too because I have ostomy from the colon cancer. But I worked with the personal trainers at Anytime Fitness, Appleton East. They helped me out quite a bit too with the strength training, learning more about strength training, doing a finisher, using the battle ropes, the slam balls, and the infinity rope. I really like the infinity rope. Yes. Learned a lot about strength training and also did some of the strength trainings with Jessica when I was at home during COVID and participated in the strength training with Jessica.
Nice.
And also another thing that helped me out quite a bit too was the self-care habits by applying most of the habits, making it part of my daily routine.
Nice.
So those are some of the things that I've learned. Since then, I've listened to a lot of podcasts, work with a lot of people. It truly does take a village. In my case, to lose this weight, to begin within program, applying, learning different habits that I applied to my life, like healthy eating, nutrition, especially mindset too, and applying tiny habits to my life. Met with Becca, and back in 2021, I think I posted April 15th, 2021. We went through the BJ Fogg's Tiny Habits program. I learned that to put my shoes on, to head to the gym, Anytime Fitness, and to work out and to celebrate by doing, I think we came up with this fist pump, I
Nice.
think at the time, Tiger Woods fist pump. So I do that to celebrate when I got done working out. And
Good.
since then, I've updated my list of things. I came up with a new aspiration. I came up with new habits that I apply to my life.
Could you speak a little bit, John? I know the tiny habits approach. Shout out to BJ Fogg and of course the awesome trainers at Anytime Fitness in Appleton. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between an aspiration and a goal? I think that's something that is it's such a key to this program and kind of understanding the difference.
Yeah, I actually use a combination of things here too. Like aspirations, what I aspire to be. I also have intentions, and I set smart goals for it. I like to track stuff. I like to measure stuff. So my aspiration is to. This might be hard to see. I'm not sure if I can. Oh, I think I can actually expand this. Yeah, I can. So one of my aspirations is the ostomy takedown. The that operated on me wants me to recover. Then August 6th, we're going to meet and talk about an ostomy takedown, avoid serious health conditions. I already had two. I managed to reverse type 2 diabetes, and I've also been through cancer. Dr. Peter Attia in his book, I'll Live, mentions four of the horsemen. I've already had two, metabolical one, type 2 diabetes, and also cancer. Cardiovascular and neurological ones like Alzheimer's and dementia are the other two. So avoid serious health conditions. Don't want type 2 diabetes to come back. Body recomposition. I've lost a lot of weight in a relatively short period of time. I lost like 148 pounds in just over a year. And I want to continue weight maintenance and do some weight loss. My goal is to get to Wonderland. They call it that'd be 199. There are different ways of measuring it. I just really want to live a healthy life. Avoiding the serious health conditions are probably the biggest one. Maintain a normal A1C, continue to be insulin sensitive. For a while there, I was insulin resistant, which added to my weight gain. So weight loss helped out quite a bit with that and mindset and applying a lot of the techniques and begin within, like staying well hydrated, learning more about food, like healthy fats, carbs, vegetables, protein, adding that to my diet, along with like eating 80% of the meal, the Okinawan way.
Nice.
Another thing too I want to prevent is kidney stones. Those hurt a lot. I've had one removed. I have one that may need to be removed in the future, one that's going to be difficult to pass. And I found out recently that I might have another one. Continue living a healthy lifestyle, mental clarity for mental health too, hopefully becoming more socially confident, and continue to be active. I love to walk. I walk for quite a few charities, the American Cancer Society, St. Jude, NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and St. Jude. I think I mentioned St. Jude. I also do local ones too, like the Soul Burner and also Kicking It with the Cows. Do them virtually. My goal is to run the 5K this year. Unfortunately, the ball resection set me back a bit, but I hope to run for the Alzheimer's next month.
Nice. Well, thanks for
So those
sharing
are my
that with us.
aspirations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the aspirations, we start with those, and then around that aspiration bubble are more specific ways to achieve those aspirations. Is that right?
Yeah. For example, one of them is fitness. I want to walk at least 3 miles a day. Once I get the go ahead from the physical therapist, which I'll be meeting this week, I'll hope to do 30 minutes of moderate cardio 5 times a week. Train at least 3 times a week. That's what they recommend. If I could do at least that, that's great. If I could do more, that'd be even better. I just want to be active. I want to be physically fit and de-stress. That's another one, important one too to me. Cortisol, keep my cortisol levels under control, de-stress. I do that through meditation, exercise, deep breathing, listen to music, progressive muscle relaxation. For example, one of my daily routines is to get up and walk, put my shoes on, get up and walk, go to the coffee shop, get a decaf black coffee, because that's one thing that I can do to get my dopamine hit. And also clean fast. Also, while I'm there, do my gratitude journal, think of things that I'm grateful for. And also my meditation. I do deep five senses meditation, is mantra set meditation, other meditations too in my Fitbit. And also my affirmations. I read through my affirmations.
Love
Another
it.
one that I'm working on is my oral health, brush and floss. That's one that is mentioned to begin within. Also in tiny habits too. I actually floss all my teeth. That's actually something I really need to work on.
We
Minute
all do,
fasting.
by the way.
Um,
Isn't that a thing that
yeah,
we all
yeah,
that's so common, right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
flossing, right? Yeah. Who goes to the
I want to
dentist
hear a
and they
good,
tell them, "Great job on flossing," right? We all need it.
yeah, I want to hear a good report from the dentist one of these days.
Uh, I think we all
Yeah,
do.
I've
Yeah,
already lost,
nice.
already lost a tooth. I didn't go back when I had a filling removed or crown removed, and because of that, it got sensitive and I had to have it removed. Hope to prevent that in the future. So oral health is extremely important to me. Intermittent fasting too. That's another behavior that I've taken up. That's something that I learned in a Manjaro Facebook group that I belong to. Intermittent fasting. I listen to Jen Stevens' Fast Feast Repeat. I'm currently doing 18 hours of fasting. You have a 6 hour eating window. Hoping to hit autophagy sometime soon here and become fat adapted. That's one technique I use. And this is some people don't do it. That's just something I'm trying. I like to experiment with different stuff, see if it works, see if it's something that works with me, works for me. For nutrition, like I said, I lost quite a bit of weight in a short period of time. I lost some muscle mass, has some excessive skin. So something that I'm currently working on is macros, tracking my macros in my Fitness Pal. I have a macro prescription that I'm working on. A flexible diet, 80% whole foods, 20% processed. Limit ultra processed foods. Let me bring this up here so you can see it. Let me see if I can move here. Okay, there we go. Ultra processed foods. I like that the small plate that Becca mentioned in one of your podcast episodes. So I'm trying to do that. I still have a clean the plate methodology. I like to eat the whole plate.
Yes.
So using a small plate and having smaller portions on the plate will help. Also eating more slowly, chewing my food, eat until 80% full, listening to my hunger and satiety signals, track my foods in my Fitness Pal, eat at the dinner table without distraction. That's something too that I try to work at. Because if I sit in my recliner, get a bag of popcorn, in my case, look at my phone, watch a Netflix episode, I eat the whole bag of popcorn or eat the whole bag of pistachios. I really like pistachios. So portion control is another important one for me. And then if I can move over here, as I mentioned, kidney stones is an important one for me too. So I trying to lower my sodium, trying to drink lots of water, stay well hydrated, try to watch my oxalates. I have calcium oxalate crystal. So trying to watch my oxalates, trying to stay away from spinach, almonds, everything else. I just try to watch portion control. Um, Also, I still have a glucose monitor, a continuous glucose monitor. I do one touch sometimes to calibrate it, but I still watch my glucose levels. I move after eating. I try to get some Apple. I watch your podcast too on that too. also the glucose goddess. So I try to get apple cider vinegar. I came up with a dressing, apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice and some olive oil and a little bit touch of Dijon mustard. I make my own vinegar, put it in my
Nice.
salad. I still watch my sugar and my carbs too, hopefully to prevent type 2 diabetes from returning. Another one that I recently added that I'm going through the Begin With program too is social confidence. This one is just saying hi to people and smiling at people that I see when I'm walking, hiking on trail. And emotional eating, that's another one I need to work on. Here I have to take 3 breaths and remind myself to hopefully resist the urge to eat. It's also boredom too, also but mostly anxiety and a little frustration too, eating. Another one too that they can use, one I learned is Gandalf when he's on the edge of the cliff and seeing the demon, he says, "You shall not pass." So having that image and having "you shall not pass" or "you shall not emotionally eat" is another way of doing it. And then celebrating too by saying "well done" to myself mentally or
Nice.
giving myself a mental high five. And then sleep, I'm working on that one too. I try to get up early in the morning, try to get some daylight exposure, trying to get back into wearing the CPAP. Avoid caffeine afternoon. Actually, I drink mostly water now. I drink decaf in the morning. And then 30 minutes before bed, I turn off all my electronic devices and I try not to turn anything on when I'm sleeping so I can get back to sleep. I have a tendency to wake up every 3 hours on the dot, 3.5 hours. So it's just trying to get back to sleep. Hydration, try to at least 80 ounces of water a day. I try to make it easy. I've got a water pitcher I have in my refrigerator, and then I pour some water into this right here. In my eating window, I put some lemon juice in there. I try to get at least 3 ounces of water for lemon juice or lime juice. It's citric acid, hopefully prevent kidney stones. And I think that's everything, all the behaviors I try to do throughout the day right now.
That's amazing. I think for somebody listening, they'll probably be like, "Oh my goodness, that's a lot of
Yeah.
things," right? But I think what's important to keep in mind is you've been working on this for years at this point, right? But you found this little formula here, and it's ever changing, right? But this is a formula that's working well for you to help you keep moving in a healthier direction, right?
Yes. Yeah, it took a year of doing this. It took actually multiple years of doing it, of learning how to cook back in 2020, doing the Anytime Fitness Challenge, starting to begin within a year ago, then applying all these habits, learning all these habits throughout the year, and just making it
Nice.
part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, I love it. Of course, I love it. You've been awesome to work with, and I'm looking forward to continuing. You mentioned cooking a couple times, John. Could you because I think for when I'm connecting with you, even on social media, I see that preparing food has become a big part of your strategy to keep moving in a healthier direction. And you mentioned now, initially when you kind of started out, you were on what you call the fast food only diet, right? So
Yeah.
could you talk a little bit about that transition from, just grabbing food that someone else was preparing quickly, fast food to where you're at now? What was or what were some of the things that helped you get to this place now where you're controlling what goes on your plate? You're creating a lot of those meals. How did you get here to this place? What are some of the steps that brought you to this?
It took a while to get to this point. For a while there, I still kept ordering out, kept driving. But then gradually, after learning how to cook, I started cooking, starting with a turkey chili that I really like to make, and then just gradually learning how to cook and just making like slow cooker recipes, making my own pizzas with tortillas. And then recently I started working on the Mediterranean diet. I learned about that with whole grain pasta and whole grain linguine, penne,
Nice.
um, and creating my own salads. For a while there, I was making loaded salads. At the moment, vegetables are difficulty because of bowel resection. So I'm gradually trying to get back into getting more vegetables, more fiber into my diet. One of the things I try to do is try to have vegetables first, and then I try to have protein, and then starches and carbs, which is something that is one of your podcasts, and also try to get some vinegar in my diet. I can't quite get to the point where I can drink a shot of vinegar, even diluted vinegar, but that's
Yeah.
where I came up with the apple cider vinegar dressing that I tried. So I have some vinegar in my salad, and that
Awesome.
seems to help with digestion and also filling me up, eating to satiety, and also moving afterwards too. Like usually go for a walk or just get up and move. Some people do squats. Some people they say even just fiddling, just
Mm.
moving
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
with that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a shout out to, it's actually episode 118 with Teresa Herndon, where she had those hacks. Yeah. I was just talking about
Yes.
those the other day with somebody as well. So excellent. I love it. And I love, John, that you remember the first recipe, the turkey chili. It's still there, right? It just starts with one recipe that you make, and it's kind of just snowballed from there, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Yeah. Since then,
Good
I
for
made a
you.
lot of slow cooker recipes, but the healthy turkey chili was actually the first one.
Yeah, I love it. I love that I think it just illustrates that point so well that it just starts with one, right? If someone's having a fast food only diet and they want to break free from it, don't try to just switch all at once, but just start with one recipe. Find a recipe, make it, and that's going to be the first step for all of us to get to a place where we're having more control over more nutritious foods going in. I would like to ask you too, John. One thing I've noticed, and I think as others are listening, they're gonna pick up on is the amount of effort that you put into focusing on your health, both in learning, educating yourself about your conditions and about strategies to improve them, but also in the effort you put into implementing different strategies. Obviously you mentioned, you know, being part of the coaching program with Begin Within, you have your aspirations and your goals all set up here on this chart for us. You mentioned you like to track results and things like that. The sense that I have is a lot of your success is due to those things, both the effort you put into educating yourself and then the effort you put into working on your health in ways that are going to really support your lifestyle and habits. Do you feel like that's true? What role do you feel like educating yourself has had in your success?
Yes, it is very much a crucial role. Yes, played a very important role. I'm an avid learner. I love to learn. And then was faced with some of these serious health conditions, type 2 diabetes and cancer. Cancer really kind of woke me up. It kind of came as a shock. That's when I started to really focus on my health. Well, actually, it was when I had type 2 diabetes. That's when I really started to focus. When I met with a clinical dietitian, learned how to cook. And then since then, I've listened when I'm walking, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Begin Within podcasts. I listen to Zoe podcasts. It's just constant learning and then working with others too. Like recently, I saw a type 2 diabetes coach, and she actually summed up everything that took me 3 years to learn in just one of her sessions, Crystal Johnston. And yeah, so I joined her program too. I'm meal prepping with her. I'm also working out and doing some meditation and others too, like Chad Alexander Fitness. He saw that I was also losing weight and he also lost weight himself. So I joined his group. I learned some information from him, like nutrient dense food, greater than strength training. And also he has a supportive community too, other people who are going through their health journey. Anytime Fitness East too, the personal trainers and management staff help me out quite a bit. So it's a lot of, I think, in one of your podcasts, a tribe, a support group people, Begin Within, the Healthier Insider Facebook group, you as a coach and the weekly coaching sessions. I always learn, get more motivated too, check-ins, that support in education and also just being consistently applying these techniques throughout the day and living a healthy lifestyle is
Yeah.
actually extremely important to hopefully continue again avoiding serious health conditions, maybe lose a little bit more weight and hopefully get back to strength training soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I what I also love, kind of as we're wrapping up here is your mindset is with all the things that you've accomplished,
I mean, a lot of people listening would think 148 pounds. Wow, this guy's done. Like he did it. Like he's arrived. He's all set. But as I'm listening to you, and you're just such uh, a wonderful example of a hard worker, someone who's being consistent at continuing to learn and continuing to do, continuing to take action. The what I find interesting, the thing I find interesting is that you are looking at what's next. Like, how do I move forward from here now? And I think that that is a big key to ultimately being successful, is realizing the work is never done. This is a constant process. Once we get to the goal, we have to set another goal and we have to keep on moving forward. How have you found that to be true in your journey?
Yeah, I'm always going to be a work in progress, continuously improve, continuously, consistently apply the habits I've already learned, then create new habits. Like, for example, the social confidence, the emotional eating are two additional ones that I'd like to work on and begin within, while continuing to learn and apply the techniques that I've already learned. Also, want to give a shout out to the surgeons. I think I already did, but it's mentioned
Yeah.
Medicare
Yeah. Yeah.
therapists.
Go ahead.
Also, my family too. They've been very supportive in my health journey, and hopefully one day, once I'm once I learn these techniques, live them, consistently apply them to my own life. I've got my own mantra to live, learn, and lead. I've got a tattoo on my right shoulder from Mahatma Gandhi. That's just a paraphrase from what he says: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." The change I'd like to see is to help people become socially confident, live a healthy lifestyle, and to be resilient. Yeah, because I've been through some pretty challenging health conditions, but that's actually the change I wish to become.
Nice. Yeah. No, absolutely. Awesome. I think that's a great place to leave it. That was a beautiful punctuation on your journey for right now as it continues on. I guess my final question for you, I've asked it of many of the guests that we've had on the show. If someone's listening, they just have a lot of work to do. They kind of feel like their health is out of control. If you were able to speak to them and help them to get started, what might be part of the message that you would want to communicate to them?
The message I would like to communicate to them is to keep it simple and maybe a little fun to it too. Do workouts you enjoy. I really got into disc golf and also MetaQuest. I do supernatural. I love to walk. Yeah, do something you enjoy. Keep it simple and focus on your non-skill victories. Maybe not so much a skill at first. Like, for example, some of my non-skill victories have been just being able to put socks on. Out of cancer, I had hard problems putting socks on, so they gave me a sock aid. Then I weighed up about 350. I was using a sock aid. So being able to put my foot up on my knee, being able to put the sock on was one of my first non-skill victories. And also be able to fit into a booth. And then be consistent too. And then you don't necessarily have to work out at once throughout the day, just doing some simple activities throughout the day too. This is something that I learned doing some squats or just moving around a bit, dancing, just having fun, just to get started. Because getting started is probably the most challenging part. And sometimes people focus on the scale, like I did in the very beginning, but really just focusing on those non-skill victories and starting simple and having
Nice.
fun.
Love it. It's great. Great message. John, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being so open, for sharing so much of yourself and your journey with us. It's definitely going to benefit. It's benefited me, and I know that'll benefit those that listen. So thanks so much for being here.
Thanks.
All right. I want to thank John once again for being here on the show. He, I think you'll agree, was incredibly vulnerable, very open, and very honest with us. And that is what makes for such a powerful interview. He was willing to share so much of his journey. And I know that you heard those three themes that I mentioned at the outset, the things that I wanted you to pay attention to. I'm going to recap those in just a moment here. But first, here's a few episodes that are great next listens if you're moving on from here, if you've got some more listening that you want to do based on some of the topics that you heard John dig into. The first one would be all the way back to episode 5. You heard him talk about Becca, someone that supported him, a coach that helped him set up the swarm of bees. That's what it is. Swarm of bees. It's a BJ Fogg method for developing actionable behaviors that you can take, that you can implement into life in order to keep moving forward. John spent a good amount of time explaining that to us and how that exercise has served him. You can hear that coach, Becca, the one he mentioned, you can hear her back in episode 5, one of the shows that she was on here on the Begin Within Health show, and she's a good friend of the show, so she's been on multiple times. But episode 5, and John also referenced that specific episode where Becca dug into shortcuts to weight loss by changing the way you eat. Changing the way you eat. We talked about that in that episode, and that's something that is really a pillar of our program when it comes to supporting our clients who want a weight loss as one of the specific changes that they're looking to make. So if that's you, go back, listen to episode 5 and see what happens, see what adjustments you can make to your behaviors based on what you learned there. Another episode that I think you'll find super interesting if you enjoyed that conversation with John would be my interview with Nicholas Heenan. That was on episode number 10. And he himself had a major transformation. And so he describes that both in terms of what happened for him physically, but also the mental health side of things. So you could check that out. The theme of that episode was focus on what you stand to gain. As you go through this journey, we need to stop focusing on the sacrifices we're making and how difficult it is, but rather to focus on the things that we're achieving, the things that we're going to be getting as a result of making a healthier lifestyle for ourselves. And then finally, John also mentioned this episode. This is one that's come up again and again. So if you haven't gone back to listen to episode number 118, that was an interview I did with Teresa Herndon, another friend of the show. She's been on multiple times. 5 ways to balance blood sugar. She gives some, I would call them some true hacks, some really specific little shortcuts that you can take, some little things that not only, of course, will help you balance blood sugar, but the resulting cascade of negative results that come from spikes in blood sugar that can be completely eliminated when you implement these 5 things that she talks about on that interview I did with her on episode 118. So episode 5, episode 10, and then all the way to episode 118 to do some additional listening around some of the things that John talked about. So I know this is a long episode. I thank you for hanging on all the way here. Just a quick recap on those 3 themes that I wanted you to listen for. 3 things that are going to support all of us. Start simple and make it fun. Start simple and make it fun. For John, in the interview today, that's what he recommended. Keep it simple, add in a little fun, doing things you enjoy, like walking, dancing, playing games, disc golf. Just getting started is the hardest part. So if you can do something that you really enjoy, and it's very, very simple, your focus is very, very simple, you're much more likely to actually get started. That's the biggest step to take, is that first step. So find ways to make that easier, and you will be more successful. Secondly, celebrating non-scale victories. We have to do that. My question for you is, what non-scale victories? Forget about that scale. Forget about the number on the scale. What other victories can you celebrate right now in the steps that you've already taken to become a healthier version of yourself? Focus on those wins. Focus on the ways your life is getting easier. Focus on how you're feeling better. That is going to keep you motivated. That number on the scale can be elusive. It can be frustrating. It can be confusing. So, well, that's okay. That's part of the journey for a lot. I understand. But focusing on other wins is going to keep you much more motivated, especially long term, than just chasing a specific number on the scale. This is about getting healthier, right? This is about improving health. It's not about just changing that number, because someone could be very, very unhealthy and still have a lower number than someone else who is healthier, who's going to live longer, who's going to have less incidence of disease in their life because of those healthier choices. So it's about so much more than that. Let's acknowledge that, and let's proceed with that in mind and celebrate regularly things outside of just what's happening on the scale. And you heard it from someone who's made that scale change big time. He's made it move big time. But what does he say? Focus on non-scale victories. And then finally, the biggest one. What are you doing to educate yourself and get support? John attributes so much of his success to constantly learning, constantly being exposed to information, to experts who can help to support him. And I thank him as one of our clients for being such a loyal listener to the Begin Within Health show. But it's not just this one. There are others that he mentioned, other podcasts, coaches, support groups, fitness communities, even the real actual go to the gym and the personal trainers there were a huge part of what got him going and has kept him going. So surround yourself with the knowledge and with the people who are going to guide you and encourage you on your journey. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, if you try to do it alone, I believe it's probably not going to work. So who can you add in to your journey in order to stay educated and in order to get the support that you deserve, the support that you need in order ultimately to be successful in becoming a healthier version of yourself? That's enough for me for today. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of the episode. Thank you for rating and reviewing the show in your podcast player, for sharing it with someone that you love, and for being here with me. Once again, please continue to take good care of yourself. I'll talk with you again very soon.